Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. Yesterday, Wander hit me up in Discord, letting me know that they found out Glyph of Hurricane is buffing Insect Swarm by 20%. At first, I definitely did not believe it, so I had to hop on the beta and test it out for myself. They go on to show that it could be a very real thing, that the Glyph of Hurricane and the Glyph of Insect Swarm would be a better choice than the Starfire and Moonfire glyphs. So looking first at level 80, I'll show the damage difference. And I think a fair way to do it at level 80 is to have Earth and Moon up first. Won't even have any other procs, but I just want to keep up that Earth and Moon for the duration of Insect Swarm. Because if Earth and Moon falls off and Insect Swarm is still ticking, it's not going to get the damage bonus of Earth and Moon. One thing to point out is I do have a point in Nature Splendor, so I'm getting 7 ticks of the Insect Swarm dot. So with absolutely no buffs besides that Earth and Moon, Insect Swarm did pretty much 6k damage, and I do have some pretty decent gear, so I have 2036 spell power right now. Something else that's really going to buff the damage during this test is the 2-piece tier 7 set bonus, which increases Insect Swarm damage by 10%. So now I'll do the same thing for Moonfire, get up the Earth and Moon, click off my proc, and we'll see how much Moonfire is going to give. So Moonfire with a crit and 5 ticks of damage was 5,749 damage. It also gave that Nature's Grace proc. Hard to put a value on that just for this test, so I'll just stick with the damage. Now that we have the base established, I'll put on one glyph at a time. First, the Glyph of Insect Swarm, and the Glyph of Insect Swarm buffed Insect Swarm's total damage by 1,628 damage. Now if I add the other Glyph of Hurricane, do the same test, that glyph added the same amount, 1628, for a total damage increase from the two glyphs together of 3,256. Taking those two glyphs off, put the Glyph of Starfire on first, which just adds 3 extra ticks of damage. And since I forgot to see how much the first test gave, I'll just do it again real quick. Well, I know the Moonfire crit a little bit less than this the first time. I'm going to go ahead and use these new numbers for this with 8 ticks of Moonfire, extending it with Starfire with the glyph. Adding that glyph actually gave 2141 more damage to Moonfire. And yeah, there's that variance in the range of the crit. I think it would have been about 2k from the first test, but still about 400 more damage from using this glyph than the Glyph of Insect Swarm or Hurricane. Now to add the Glyph of Moonfire, and that glyph added 1415 damage, giving a total from those two glyphs to buffing Moonfire 3566 damage, which is 300 more damage than buffing Insect Swarm. So another thing that the Glyph of Hurricane is doing is it's lowering the damage of Hurricane by 5%. I went on the WoW database site for Wrath of the Lich King, and the effect number 2, I think, is what is buffing the Insect Swarm. Apply aura, add percent modifier, damage over time, value 30. But it looks like it's actually supposed to work this way. So raw value wise, it looks like it's very close just from the damage. You want to factor in that Insect Swarm's damage is pretty much guaranteed. It's not going to go up or down from getting a crit or not, like the damage from Moonfire is. You know up front that's what you're going to get. But then again, with the Glyph of Moonfire, the initial damage from Moonfire is not going to be that big of damage anyways. So the range is definitely reduced and making the total damage from Moonfire a lot more consistent. But then Moonfire can crit and give you that Nature's Grace proc, possibly increasing the haste of your next 2 Starfires, which to me is going to add a good amount of DPS. Could also depend on your rotation. If you want to start the fight putting Insect Swarm up because threat's an issue, you could be using Insect Swarm more during your fight than people that use Moonfire first in their rotation. For example, my plan is to just Fairy Fire and then Wrath until Lunar, and then put Moonfire up, making that be my first dot that I use. So depending on fight links, you could be using one dot one extra time than the other, so buffing that dot would help you out for that specific fight. I'm running short on time, I gotta get to work, so I'm not gonna test level 70 just yet. If you wanna join the Discord, I'll post what I find on Discord. Might not end up making a video out of it, we'll see. So let me know below what glyphs you might be using after finding out that this glyph works this way, this Glyph of Hurricane, and that it seems to be intended even though it's not shown on the tooltip. So this might not get fixed if you wanna call it a fix. It's up to Blizzard to decide if this is working as intended. Are you going to use like Glyph of Insect Swarm and Hurricane together, Moonfire, Starfire together, two other glyphs together instead? I think our third glyph is going to be Glyph of Starfall. No matter what spec or rotation that we are going to be using, having that 30 seconds off Starfall is pretty good, but that too can change on fight links. Thanks again to Wonder hitting me up on Discord and showing me this bug. Clear eyes are awesome. Oh, gripped. Change the iced. Huge. Freedom. Force stop. I missed. I'm bopped now. Can't. Whoa. 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 Yo, this pally just carried my ass. It's a big boomy ass to carry.